Alright, Shalom. I'm gonna give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, and double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, do rule and teach well. Young brother, Shema Shwan, Bun, the Amir on nationalnews.com. Found this nifty little article, was reading some of the news. Apparently there's chaos going on in Palestine and stuff. People were breaking into storage containers and like stealing grain and fucking rice and stealing like basic supplies and stuff, showing you that civil order is quickly going down. I saw that one on CNN World. It was Israel is expanding its ground offensive and shit like that, and that they recently saved some hostages. As you guys all know, us bros that are in GMS and GMS affiliated fellas, we're not supporting either side. We don't give a fuck. Number one, you Palestinians, you fucking Ishmaelites, you guys built the slave ships. You guys aided in the destruction of our people. I don't give a shit. And of course, I don't like Amalek. We don't like Amalek because Amalek was involved in the slave trade, involved in the Civil War, involved actually, what do you call it, the Confederacy. What was it? Was the second in command? Was named Benjamin Friedman. Was it Benjamin Friedman or is Benjamin something? You can look it up. But this fucking piece of shit was an Amalekite, and he was like the second in command of the Confederate Army, obviously fighting to hold slaves. Which really the Civil War was not really about slavery to begin with. It was just kind of swept into it, but they were fighting just to hold on to them slaves, man. And he owned a lot of slaves, I think like 600 or some shit, which I don't know if that's a lot. I don't know exact numbers of like what's a good amount of slaves and what isn't. I know that some people had as like low as like 5 or 10 like certain shops. Like I read that in the book. This book was called The Black Jacobins. It's a book about the slave trade in Haiti. Some guys had like 5 slaves and they owned the shop. But I guess, they could be as high as like in the hundreds, maybe thousands. Right, so yeah, that was that, right? So I read this article. I'm not going to get to it. We're just going to get to the point. EU members question bloc's moral authority as it condemns Russia's Ukraine invasion, but excuses Israel for carrying out bombings of residential buildings in Gaza, right? Blowing up hospitals, making warnings against hospitals to evacuate because they know full well that they're going to blow that shit up. They've always been like that, though. Amalek. You go into the history. Like I posted 2 videos in my community tab, and no one watches that. No one's looking at my community tab like that. Maybe like 2 of you, and 3 at most. But if you go into my community tab, you'll find it. I posted recently 2 films. One was the occupation of the American mine. I'm not gonna read the names, but another one. They were both about the Amalekite occupation of of America, and also the occupation of the land they call Palestine, but it's really the land of Israel. That is its rightful true name, which before was called Israel. It was called the land of Canaan, but really before then it was just Eden. The whole world was called Eden, Idan. So going down here, right? EU leaders varying stance show division over Israel-Hamas war, right? Several member states, including Ireland, Spain, and the Netherlands, publicly cited decisions citing that the need for humanitarian aid was even more necessary given that Israel has announced a complete siege of Gaza, cutting off water, power, and food to the Palestinian enclave already under a 16-year siege. Now, what's interesting is how they mention Spain, because if you read Ezekiel 38, it pretty much talks about how Tarshish is going to turn on America and stuff and join up with Russia to bring the destruction of America. Tarshish is Spain, so it's interesting how Spain is brought up in there. It's prophecy coming to pass right there. The stuff was like Revelation 16 and like 17, I think. These 10 horns, they shall hate the whore and shall burn it with fire. Basically saying that the NATO and the EU are going to turn it back on America and launch nukes here. You know, but you gotta look at all these countries. I don't know if Ireland is nuclear or not. At least Spain is, Netherlands might be, but yeah, it's more and more conflict. Our understanding is that there is no legal basis for unilateral decision of this kind by an individual commissioner, and we do not expect the suspension of aid. Ireland added European Commissioner for Crisis Management Janice Lenarcic contradicted Varlihe and said that EU humanitarian aid to Palestinians in need will continue as long as needed. Released social media posts declaring a multi-million dollar humanitarian assistance were updated by ex-users, claiming that by late Monday the commission stated that there will be no suspension of payments. As of press time, the Palestinians, the IDF have killed at least 5,087 Palestinians. Right, they actually have the IDF special forces down there with getting hostages and shit like that. They're all involved. They got their elite troops down there. Since the conflict started, including more than 2,000 children, according to the latest tally provided by the Palestinian Health Ministry. Actually, according to them too, they've actually been blowing up their own people. You know, the bombings and stuff like that. I think around 200 people. I can't remember where it came from because I saw a video of this Alexander Macarius guy. I always keep mentioning him, but check him out. You know, he always talks about this kind of stuff. He mentioned that I think I don't know if it was Iranian news or these Palestinian guys put it out there, but they've killed at least 200, around like 200 or was it 200 or 100 something hostages. Like the Israelis killed their own people that are hostages, you know, in Gaza with their bombing. So they're just going all at it. Right, including more than 2,000 children, according to the latest tally provided by Palestinian Health Ministry, about 70% of those killed are children, women, and elderly people, right? And you can just kind of read the rest of the article to kind of, you know, basically get more of a gist. But, you know, I read just enough to kind of, you know, give you a point. The other thing I want to mention is Matthew 12 and 25. It talks about how a kingdom divided against itself shall not stand. You know, every kingdom that's divided, every house divided will be brought to desolation, roughly paraphrasing. You know, so that's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing the desolation and destruction of America, NATO, and the EU, which is as these guys out here said. You know, the guys, the Duran says, I can't remember the other guy named Alex something and Alexander Macarius. Now America's just going to become more and more diplomatically isolated over time, and eventually it's just going to get to a point where America's allies are just going to be like, we can't help you anymore, and America's going to have to make some hard decisions, have to pull some shit back. You know, either they have to stop with the Ukraine thing, or maybe they have to stop with the Israel thing. You know, that's what I think they're going to do. I think they're going to have to make the decision, and in that decision, they're probably going to pull out the Ukraine thing and start pulling out of shit. You know, eventually they're going to have to pull out of Israel as well because they're not going to be able to fund it or have any backing for it. So that's just going to go down. It's all going to lead up to World War III and stuff like that. But you know, that's pretty much it. You know, low on the edify, shalom.